Imagine this: someone asks you for a favor. You know you're already overwhelmed, but a tiny voice inside whispers, "Just say yes, it won't hurt." So you do. Again. And again. Until one day you wake up feeling exhausted, taken for granted, and frustrated with yourself. What if I told you that this isn't just poor time management or being too kind, it's rooted in deep psychological wiring? Today we're exploring why some people find it almost impossible to say no, even when it costs them dearly. You'll learn what's happening in the brain, the emotional fears behind this struggle, and most importantly, how to build healthier boundaries that don't leave you feeling guilty. Keep watching, because the way you think about no is about to change. Let's start with something most people don't realize: saying no feels threatening because the brain treats social rejection like physical pain. Humans evolved in tribes where belonging meant survival. Our ancestors who were rejected were at risk of isolation and danger. Even though we live in a very different world now, our brains still respond to exclusion with the same alarm signals. So when you hesitate to say no, it's not just politeness, it's your nervous system trying to protect you. That's right, every time you imagine disappointing someone, your brain activates areas also involved in physical pain. This is why a soft no can feel like a punch in the gut. And most people don't consciously connect their fear of saying no with this ancient survival instinct. But the next piece of the puzzle is emotional, and it often starts very early in life. If, as a child, you learned that love and approval were conditional on being helpful or compliant, you carry that pattern into adulthood. For many, saying no wasn't safe. A tantrum, a threat, or emotional withdrawal might have followed. So the brain learned, if I want connection, I must make myself available. Now, every time you think about refusing, that old survival loop lights up again. This is also tied to a powerful but invisible force: people-pleasing. People-pleasers genuinely want others to feel good, and that's not a bad trait. But when pleasing others becomes a core part of your self-worth, then turning someone down feels like turning down your own value. So you squeeze yourself into schedules, agree to plans you hate, and even ignore your own limits, all just to keep the peace. It's exhausting and emotionally costly. Another reason people struggle to say no is rooted in the fear of conflict. We often imagine the worst possible reactions: anger, disappointment, loss of relationship. Most of these imagined outcomes never actually happen, but our brains create them anyway because uncertainty triggers anxiety. If you think saying no might lead to damage, short-circuiting that feeling with a yes seems easier in the moment. But that's a temporary fix with long-term consequences. Here's a psychological twist many people overlook: sometimes a chronic inability to say no is linked to perfectionism. Perfectionists want to be competent, reliable, and admired. So every request becomes a test: can I manage this? Will people still respect me if I don't? And because perfectionists tie their identity to how others see them, refusing feels like a risk to their carefully constructed self-image. So, what's really going on here? At the core, this struggle combines three big psychological drivers: fear of rejection and loss of social connection, internalized belief that your worth comes from helping others, anxiety about conflict or disappointing people. Each of these creates a mental and emotional pull towards saying yes, even when it's against your best interests. Now, let's get practical, because understanding the psychology is useful. But what really matters is how you change your experience. One key shift is reframing what no actually means. Most people think of the no as cold, harsh, or confrontational. But in reality, it's a boundary, not a rejection of the person, but a clarification of your limits. Saying no to a request doesn't mean you don't care, it means you value your time, energy, and mental health. And people can respect that when it's communicated clearly. Here's a mental trick: instead of thinking I'm saying no to this person, think I'm saying yes to myself and everyone involved. This reframing reduces guilt because you're not denying something, you're honoring something that matters just as much: your well-being. Another technique backed by psychologists is practicing assertive communication. Instead of an awkward "I can't right now," try something like, "Thank you for thinking of me. I'm not able to take that on at the moment." It's simple, respectful, and it separates your value as a person from the request itself. Boundaries also become easier when you start with small no's. If someone asks you to take on extra work, say no to just one task first. See how it feels. Notice how most people respond, often with understanding. Then slowly build up. It's like training a muscle: the more you do it, the stronger your boundary responses become. Now here's an important psychological insight: you don't owe anyone an explanation for every boundary you set. You deserve privacy and autonomy. Long explanations often come from a fear of disappointing others. But clear, brief responses are more respectful to everyone, including you. Some people also benefit from writing a personal list of values, what matters most in your life. When your values are clear, you can check every request against them. If something doesn't align, no matter how politely you refuse, you're acting consistently with what you truly want. That reduces internal conflict and shame. Let's pause here because this point is crucial. The biggest barrier to saying no isn't actually other people, it's the internal voice that believes saying no equals failure. And that voice learned that early. But now you can retrain it. Every time you choose a healthy boundary, you're rewiring your brain's response to saying no. Over time, your nervous system learns that boundaries don't lead to abandonment. Instead, boundaries lead to respect from others and yourself. So the next time you find yourself tempted to say yes out of fear or habit, ask, is this something I want? Or is this something I only think I have to do? That one question can create the space you need to make a healthier choice. In a world where people demand more of your time, energy, and attention than ever, your ability to say no becomes one of your most powerful psychological tools. Not selfish, strategic. Not cold, self-respect. If you found this helpful, drop a comment about a time you struggled to say no, and how you're going to change that moving forward. Because boundaries aren't just a skill, they're a path toward healthier relationships and a stronger sense of self. Thanks for watching, and if you want more psychology explained simply, don't forget to subscribe, because understanding yourself is one of the best investments you'll ever make.